just because it's not as visible and you can't necessarily prove it yet does not mean it's just not real. In this video, I'm going to share 11 ways that helped me in my life reconnect with my intuition. When I first started this whole journey, I looked to everyone else for answers. I had little to no inner authority. And as far as intuition goes, very limited, if any. Now I feel very grounded in listening to myself. Knowing when my intuition is talking to me has been massively helpful. So I'm just going to share some of these things that I've done, kind of little practices, and I hope they help. The first one that really helped me was getting familiar with what inner stillness felt like to me. You can do that a ton of different ways. For me, sitting in meditation helped me a ton to just really practice and get in that space of what does inner stillness feel like. The second one that really helped me will vary a little bit depending on your human design type, which I'm going to talk about in another video, kind of how human design plays into all of this. But asking yourself questions to get a little bit more familiar with what your intuitive response is. Mine is very black and white, so I can ask myself yes and no questions. Now, what was really helpful for me is sitting in meditation, maybe with a question or not, and just asking, okay, Source, show me what a yes feels like in my body now. And then I would practice, okay, now show me what a no feels like. And I was able to very clearly feel, and Source was kind enough to show me what those responses in my body felt like. And in that controlled environment, it helped me really get familiar with what an intuitive yes and no felt like so that I could be more familiar with them when I took them out into my daily life. The third one is probably the most fun because, leading into taking it into your daily life, this is the next step. I call them intuitive outings. Basically, driving somewhere with nowhere to go. So what you do is I just got in my truck one day and said, am I turning right or left? You can walk, bike, hike, just however you get mobile. But as you're driving, just feel, do I need to turn or do I not? A couple really fun things that maybe tips for you. You don't have to ask, do I need to turn at every intersection? And kind of playing with, hey, Source, how do you tell me that a turn is coming up? What kind of a response do I look for in my body when it is time to turn? You're practicing, so talk to yourself, God, Source, whatever it is for you. Talk to it and ask it to help you understand where it wants you to go. Every time I have done this, I have ended up somewhere so fun. I've had an awesome experience. I've ended up in the mountains and happened to be took a little trail walk and a deer walked up to within 20 yards of me. I've had sunset parks with a lake I didn't even know existed all to myself. Just some really, really fun stuff. So do those. They'll teach you a ton and you'll have a ton of fun. Number 4, I got this from Human Design, which will, again, help you a ton with knowing what you might like and kind of how to approach this, but just intuitive eating. Feeling when you're hungry and then honoring it. Feeling if you do want to eat something or not. I also have had experiences where I've asked myself, what do I want to eat tonight? And this image of this weird sandwich thing that I happen to have all the ingredients for but had never made. I went downstairs, made it, and it's awesome. So stuff like that, just ask the question and see what comes up. The 5th thing that helped me a lot when reconnecting with my intuition was, it's kind of like a manifestation practice in a way. I made a little list of little things that can happen any day and just see when they kind of pop up. A fun one for me is parking spaces. The parking spot at the front of the grocery store. Are you even driving up there to see if they're available, right? Are you listening and saying, okay, where do I need to go to even end up in a space where you might see one of those little things happen? So it's kind of fun. Might be intuitive, might be more manifestation. I don't know. but they're fun for me. Number 6 is kind of like more of a therapy modality, but it really helped me when kind of figuring out what intuition might feel like. What it was is a therapy called Craniosacral Therapy. The way that I would kind of say that this works is it's almost like you get to piggyback off of someone else's intuition and kind of feel how it feels in your body. If that sounds like something you want to try, I know that not everyone has the money to try stuff like that, but if that resonates, maybe give it a shot. I've really liked it. So meditating on things in community. This might be workshops. This might be like Yoga Nidra is great for this because there's usually like a little sharing time after where you can hear other people's experiences. And that was great for me to hear that other people were having experiences similar to what I was getting. They were getting messages kind of like what I'd gotten. Just little things like that can really build a ton of confidence just to know that what you're experiencing is not just some made up thing. So group work was super helpful for me. The 8th thing that helped me a lot was kind of getting more familiar with what the different clairs are. Basically what that is like the clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, stuff like that. The reason that helped me a ton was to just getting more familiar with the fact that there are multiple ways that you can feel intuition and that source can talk to you. And that like all the little things that you're noticing or you're like, wow, I've never noticed that before. Or, hey, that hit different when I saw that. That's actually like a thing. That helped me a ton. Also, again, I would recommend going to like some kind of a workshop, or let me know if we can maybe set one up. But hearing other people's experience based off of the same guided meditation that you did, and maybe they got like no mental pictures, but they heard and tasted things, right? Which might have been a completely different experience to what you had. Stuff like that was just really cool and helped me feel a lot more confident in my experience. Also with group stuff, the biggest key to that is owning your own intuition. Don't compare how you're receiving things versus others or what you got. Your intuition is completely your own. So own it, love it, get to know it. Just don't compare your experience with anybody else's, kind of a microcosm of life, because we are all communicated with very, very differently. And just going into that and owning how your intuition is going to talk to you and that you're there to learn how you communicate with you, that's the priority, not learning how someone else is or thinking that you should be stronger in one thing because that person is. That's not the whole point of this work. It's to get to know you. The 9th thing that helped me a ton is something that, I mean, there's a whole world. Like this is like people's profession. Again, for me, I just have used this as a practice on feeling my intuition. And that's tarot decks. Just understanding and feeling into what your energy does when it's a yes or no, or hey, that one or not that one. It's just a very low consequence, low stakes way to practice. So that's kind of what it's been for me, but it has definitely provided some experiences with certain cards that like when they really hit, like write them down. And that honestly leads me right into my next point is write down all of the experiences that you have, like when I go to the park or when I ended up and that deer came walking through the trees. Like write those down and write them down for a few different reasons. One is it's going to help you ground that like these experiences are really happening and they are being guided by something that doesn't have proof to it. This is really where I believe intuition is the maximum in developing self-trust, because where you're getting and sourcing your certainty, you have no proof. That is what makes intuition so powerful. And that's why I believe that like that's how you end up living a magic-filled life is because you're kind of basing it on magic, right? You're not doing things because by the numbers it makes sense and you can prove it and write it down and put it in an algorithm. You're just doing it because you feel like that's where you're supposed to go that day. And just that has led to a lot more fun in my life. Another reason that I recommend writing things down is it's kind of a communication between you and the universe on what messages you are seeing and which ones you're not. Number 11 that really helped me, and I really feel like is crucial, is give yourself permission to not have to prove or explain any of your experiences, especially your intuitively based experiences. The reason for that is the mind literally does not have the same connection, and it doesn't even speak the language of emotion and feeling and intuition. Like what you're tapping into, your mind has no access to. So the source of knowledge and wisdom that you're tapping into for that certainty, it's just nothing to your mind. And that's why it kind of discounts it as just made up. And that's why a lot of people will criticize it, is because our society, it is just very concrete, ego-based. When I say ego, I mean kind of more concrete, you can tangible prove stuff. Just because it's not as visible and you can't necessarily prove it yet does not mean it's just not real. So giving yourself permission to just try it. You don't have to commit that this is how you're going to live your life forever, but give it an honest go and see what experiences you have. I mean, that's the whole point of me wanting to make this video, is to give you some just very practical, you can go do these in your daily life like I did, and you'll start to see how fun and kind of magical life gets. I mean, I keep using that word magical, but I mean, I don't have another explanation for it.